China and Japan are two Asian giants whose economies have far reaching global impacts. However, the geographical locations of both these countries exposes them to natural calamities such as earthquakes and floods. Nations the world over have time and again experienced periods of economic downturn when faced with the havoc of nature. Major natural disasters, apart from having severe negative short term economic impacts, also may have adverse long term consequences for economic growth and development. Interestingly, though, China and Japan have exhibited a commendable resilience to these calamities and continue to show surging economic growth year after year, decade after decade. Here, we study the effects of earthquakes on income per person in Japan and China.
Let's begin with Japan. The Kobe earthquake of 1995 struck Japan's industrial heartland, wiping out a total of 5,300 people. Prior to the earthquake, the affected regions contributed around 12.4% to Japan's GDP. The resilience of Japan can be exemplified by the fact that despite $120 billion worth damage, industrial production dropped for only 1 month and it started rising. This did not have any long term impacts on the GDP, as we can see here. Though Kobe hit regions had strong short term fluctuations of imports, exports, and slump in domestic and industrial production, there was surprisingly fast reconstruction and measures such as infusing massive liquidity by Bank of Japan. It ensured financial stability and as a result, no major impacts on per capita GDP were observed.
Let's now move on to China. The 1976 Great Tangshan earthquake, which is believed to be the largest earthquake of the 20th century by death toll, took away close to 2.5 lakh lives. However, the economy bounced back in no time. This phenomenon was repeated in 2008 when China experienced the Great Sichuan earthquake, which claimed almost 50,000 lives. In spite of the fact it housed 40% of China's natural gas deposits, the GDP that year was maintained at a steady level, even in the face of speculations that fuel prices would be affected the world over owing to the disaster. Moreover, China exhibited its dragon spirit by hosting the Olympics in great style months after the calamity.
To appreciate the economic comebacks of Japan and China, let's focus on the fact that smaller countries like Indonesia and Sri Lanka haven't quite been able to contain the economic impacts that follow the occurrence of natural calamities. We can safely conclude by saying that Japan and China are called Asian giants for a reason.